Hello and welcome to today's webinar, AI for Content Moderation in Businesses. Today we hope to give you the business case for automating content moderation with the tools of artificial intelligence. Today we're going to take a look at improving efficiencies and reducing operational costs with AI moderation, compliance and risk reduction, and preserving and increasing revenue, all through AI content moderation. To put things into perspective, I just wanted to start off with this often cited statistic that has come from IDC and Seagate Research. So the amount of data in the world will grow to 163 billion terabytes by 2025, and 90% of this data will be unstructured, user-generated content. So there is an absolutely astounding quantity of data to get through, and user-generated content, if you're using this in your business, exposes you to various risks. And some of the very worst content that has ever been created has been created here in our age of the internet, and you're going to want to make sure that only appropriate content makes it onto your site. So let's dive right in, taking a look at improving efficiencies and reducing operational costs. To begin with, content moderation is labor-intensive and costly. To moderate a stream of content, you're going to have to staff up a team of content moderators, and you're going to have to provide them with the training and support they will need to be successful. And in this tight labor market and in general, this can be a very challenging and expensive task. Additionally, manual content moderation is traumatic for workers. So when it comes to content moderation, you are asking your team to review some of the very worst content on the internet. And this is a big deal. There's a often cited lawsuit that Facebook lost, where they had to pay $45 million to their content moderators because of excessive exposure to traumatic content. And additionally, human content moderators require special training. They will need to have a certain level of cultural sensitivity. They will need to be trained on how to moderate content in a way that is balanced and unbiased. And they will need to know how to deal with the stress of the job, the stress of being exposed to such bad content on a regular basis. But AI can learn from the data that you provide it automatically. And it's true that you'll need to train an AI model, or perhaps use an AI model that's already been trained for content moderation. But once it's up and running, AI can be set up in such a way that it can automatically learn from your data over time and get smarter over time. So unlike staffing up a content moderation team, where every time you turn over a staff member, you'll start again from zero, perhaps. AI will be continually learning, continually improving, and continually doing its job better, just as it consumes more data. When it comes to business value, this slide is really critical to absorb. So when it comes to moderating content with AI, one of the biggest benefits is just the speed improvement. We offer this number of at least a 200 times improvement in content moderation. So here we have on our left-hand side a picture of what 200 workers looks like versus just one person at a computer running an AI system. So a major difference in the speed and the scale of content moderation that is possible with an AI-based system versus a purely manual system. And here's a quick back-of-envelope calculation to give you a sense of just what kind of savings you might be looking at. So looking at the ROI of content moderation powered by AI versus powered by a manual content moderator. Let's just throw out a number of $15 an hour for the content moderator, and this is quite a low number. And let's say 100 million items need to be reviewed, and the time to review each item is 11 seconds. Well, you'd be looking at over 3,000 business hours returned to the business, labor hours returned to the business, and a bottom line ROI of AI content moderation of over $45,000. Next up, let's take a look at compliance and risk reduction considerations. When moderating content manually, you're going to expose yourself to blind spots in your content moderation program. So this will be due to inconsistent performance of human moderators. So even if you have a long-standing, highly trained expert staff of human content moderators, they are not going to be perfect. They're going to get tired. They're going to bring their own biases to the table. They are going to perform in inconsistent ways, and this is going to expose you to risk because you may, even with a given set of business rules in place, not know for sure what is making it through your content moderation system and what is not. This can also force your hand, spending additional time on compliance and legal audits. So if you know you're exposing yourself to additional risk, you're going to have to take additional steps to compensate for that risk. And compliance and legal audits can be a very expensive way to go, and especially if you do have some sort of content moderation issue that results in a lawsuit or results in bad press. This can become particularly expensive and is certainly best avoided. It can also just generally be difficult to quantify your risk exposures when it comes to a manual content moderation regime. So again, just because the content moderators themselves may be performing in inconsistent ways, even an individual may perform inconsistently over the course of a week, it's difficult for you to know ahead of time what to expect. But with an AI-based content moderation system, you're going to know the accuracy of your models up front. This is just a number you get out of your AI system, and so you're going to know how well it interprets a given data set. A given model can interpret a different given data set. So it allows you to control certain variables that your business is facing. Employee dissatisfaction and harm are a major risk when it comes to content moderation for obvious reasons. I hope at this point just that these people you're asking them to review everything that the internet is producing, and some of what the internet is producing is just the worst content that has ever been produced. So you're risking high employee turnover, lawsuits, and other issues just due to employees being harmed by doing their jobs. Another really important factor to take into consideration beyond the sort of concrete issues we might see with a lawsuit or a compliance violation is the larger picture of just brand reputation. So if you're not able to provide a safe environment for your users, where your users can go and expect a certain standard of content, a certain standard of safety, you risk losing your credibility with your audience and brand reputational harm. And it could get even worse if something is so bad that it makes it into the press and you get bad press over content moderation issue. Another issue that AI-powered content moderation can address for us is just consistency. So once a model is set up in a given way and it is defining a ground truth or defining the terms that you're trying to moderate your content under, you know that it's going to behave in the same way every day, all day, 24/7. And human content moderators simply don't act like that. They're going to have moods and biases and slightly different interpretations of data. And so this consistency becomes a risk vector when it comes to moderating content. And AI never gets tired. As long as you've got it plugged into power, you've got live content moderation. So 24/7, in the middle of the night when the trolls are perhaps most active, you know your content moderation is alive and well and behaving in a predictable way. And and finally, just to really drive this home, everyone wants to be sure that they're doing everything they can to protect their coworkers and staff members, and this would be a major advantage to using AI-powered content moderation. And the flip side of the reputational damage that you may be exposing yourself to would be sort of a liberation from that concern. So if you know you have a thorough and effective content moderation program going that is powered by AI, that is augmented by AI, this can improve the brand reputation over time and confidence in your product. For example, Facebook, that had been sued for $85 million at one point, now they're reporting that they're able to moderate 99.9% of spam and 99.3% of terrorist activity. They're able to completely automate that. So this is completely done with AI. And our third and final key factor we want to attend to here is preserving and increasing revenue. And content moderation can play a really important role in revenue streams because especially in cases where users are posting product postings, which many of Clarifai's content moderation customers have these kind of businesses where maybe on a secondhand website, customers are going to present goods that they want to sell, and this content needs to be moderated. Without a quick way to review and moderate this content, this can cause significant delays in content and other product postings. Additionally, you want to be able to quickly adapt to new markets and business conditions. And with some of the techniques that we're going to show here in a moment, my colleague Kirk DeBates is going to demonstrate how this technology works. We're going to take a look at how you're able to customize models to quickly adapt to new markets and business conditions so that you can confidently enter a market and know that you're moderating the content that needs to be moderated. Additionally, you may want to access new markets by localizing content policies, and this is another really common use case that we run up against. You're operating in one country with one set of social norms, and you want to bring your product to a new country with a different set of social norms, and you need to adapt to those differences. And in fact, in our demo that we're going to show you here in a moment, this actually applies within countries. So in the United States, there are certain areas where certain substances are banned, for example, and others are not. And you may want to moderate content based on state by state or county by county basis. Additionally, effective content moderation can help reduce customer churn by providing this prompt service. So you are more likely to keep a customer if when they post a piece of content onto your site, they don't have to wait too long for it to be live and viewable. So this will just provide a better customer experience. So finally, our goal here is to increase revenue with faster revenue capture and more upselling opportunities. The faster customers can post content onto your website, the more stuff you have to sell, the more options any given buyer will have when on your website, and this is a way to increase revenue. And at this point, we want to talk about the Clarifai platform and moderating content using Clarifai's the Clarifai community. And this is our solution to an AI-powered moderation product. So the goal here is that you're going to want to be able to moderate content faster and more accurately. And what we offer are a variety of pre-built configurations for the most common business use cases. So the most common moderation use cases, we have models that have already been trained on millions of examples that are ready for you to use right out of the box. And this is something that Kirk's going to show us in a minute. We provide a single platform for all of your AI initiatives. So you can get started on your content moderation program and confidently know that if you need to expand into new markets, expand to different use cases, different types of moderation use cases, you can do it all in one platform and not have to learn a new tool. And additionally, if you wanted to even expand beyond content moderation, Clarifai can support those kind of use cases. In particular, you may want to moderate user-generated product postings, and then you may also want to provide some product recommendations service. And with visual similarity search, Clarifai can help your customers find similar products automatically. And all of these AI-powered technologies are supported by the platform. We support every step of the AI lifecycle. So if you're going to build your own models, your own custom models, you're going to have to prepare a training data set. You're going to have to label that training data set. And you're going to have to get it deployed, and all of that can happen easily in one place. And so you can build custom AI for specific needs without the need for a specific DevOps department to handle this type of computing. It's all designed in our nice low-code, no-code UI. And we offer APIs for easy integration within any tech stack. So any environment you need to deploy into, we are provide an easy tool for doing that. We are up 24/7, and we've been awarded by G2 recently for ease of use of our platform. And we actually have a content moderation award through CogX, so specifically for our content moderation technology. Here's just a quick overview of the platform. It does get quite technical. We're talking about AI after all, but for today's purposes, we're not going to really dive into those specific details. But I did want to give some examples before I hand this over to Kirk to do a demonstration and talk about some of Clarifai's customers and what they've been able to achieve. So Letgo is the largest secondhand online retailer in Turkey. And so they are reviewing hundreds of thousands of data inputs every day and need to moderate content, moderate out the horrific and offensive type of content. But Letgo also came to us because they had a need for specific for some specific corner cases, some moderation needs that were specific to their region. In particularly, surprisingly, they needed to moderate posts for honey and hearing aids. So Turkey apparently closely regulates their honey industry and doesn't want people selling honey on these secondhand websites. And hearing aids similarly are a banned product to sell on this kind of platform. So we were able to provide a moderation solution that reduced their moderation staff from 700 to 20 people. That's a 35x reduction in moderator team size. And we've been working with them for a good long while now with a nice, successful moderation program. OpenTable also had this is a site that provides restaurant reviews, and they wanted help with standard moderation as well as just image quality. So we worked with them to remove low quality or irrelevant images that are posted by users. So since they're taking pictures of restaurants, they found that there were a lot of just blurry, streaky, dark images that weren't useful for conveying any meaning about the nature of a restaurant. They wanted to sort of moderate those lower quality images. Wattpad is a publisher that we work with that is based entirely on user-generated stories. So they're working with authors of various kinds, and they needed our help both moderating the text that is part of these stories, and then also images associated with the book covers. And in particular, they had several. They have a large contingent of authors that create these anime novels, and they can be a bit explicit. And so we created some custom moderation to moderate out explicit illustrations. And with that, I'd like to hand the floor over to Kirk to provide a demo of the Clarifai platform.
Thanks for that, Jeffrey. You can stop your sharing. I will start mine. And if you can let me know when my sharing stuff has come up.
Yep, you're good. We can see you.
All right. So this is our Clarifai community page. You can get to it over at clarifai.com/explore. It's also linked from our homepage. And this just exposes you to all of the different models and workflows that we have available to us. You can see here that image detection is out there, as well as multilingual text moderation. A lot of what Jeffrey was talking about earlier was around the image moderation, but I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware that text moderation is also something that we do and have out there for you. You can see here that we provide some examples of what you might be looking at. I like you and value your opinion. Definitely not toxic, obscene, or anything along those lines. But something along the lines of "I'm going to slap you" is definitely toxic and ultimately a threat. And we're not limited to just English here. I could throw something out there in Urdu, and this, I'm told, says, "I'm going to slap you." And you can see that it also identified it as toxic and a threat. The other thing that I wanted to show you is you can go out here and search through our models for anything that you'd like to do. Since we're specifically talking about moderation today, you can just type that in and excuse me, and we can see here that we've got moderation recognition. So this is what we're going to be working based off of today. And there we go. You can see here that we've got, in the image moderation, we're looking at stuff that is either a drug, safe, suggestive, gore, or explicit. Those are our 5 categories. Now, the thing to notice is that if we go out and try our own image here, I'm going to go ahead and upload a picture of a vodka bottle. It's going to identify this as safe within this model. Now, if you happen to be in one of the jurisdictions within the U.S. where you've got dry counties, or if you're just, your business use case doesn't want alcohol available in your platform, then having it identified as safe may not be appropriate for you. So one of the ways that you can remedy that is coming out here and creating what we call an application. And this one is just titled Moderation Demo. What I've done is I've uploaded some inputs and labeled them all as alcohol. That allowed me to go out here and build a model. We can go ahead and create that model. And I just said that alcohol is not okay, which allows me to then bring this over to a workflow. These workflows then allow us to tie together multiple models so that we can get multiple results in one in one API call or one call to our platform. So now, if we go ahead and upload that same bottle of vodka, we can see here that the image moderation classifier still identifying that as safe. But when we look at the model that we added to that, it's telling us that this is alcohol, so we're going to want to exclude that from our platform. Now, another way to go about that is, if you happen to live in one of the jurisdictions where, for instance, cannabis is now legal, and you want to make that available on your platform, one way that you can do that is then to build another workflow. In this particular workflow, what I'm doing is I'm combining our moderation workflow with our, if we go back over here to our community page. So I'm using our image moderation as well as our image recognition. And our image recognition model understands about 10,000 different concepts. So I'm taking the cannabis concept out of our image recognition, tying that into our image moderation. And so now what I can do is go out here and, like I said, string those two together so that now have a workflow that says that while I am moderating the cannabis, if it is cannabis, then it's okay. And if I go ahead and upload an image here, we can see that our image moderation model has correctly identified this as a drug. But since we're in a jurisdiction that allows us to have those, we can go out here and see that, hey, we have identified this as cannabis. And if one of those things that, you want to make sure that your confidence is really high. So if this is above, we'll say if this is above 90% confident that you're cannabis, then go ahead and let this go through. You don't want to have, another, for instance, say, something along the lines of, pills or some other type of drug that would be classified by our moderation model. You don't want that to get to be allowed through just your cannabis model. So by putting in that minimum threshold here and making sure that you have a very high confidence, that's going to make sure that only cannabis gets through in that mechanism. So those are just a couple of different ways that you can go about making sure that you can use stuff out of the box from Clarifai to go ahead and make sure that your platforms stay safe just by making a call over to us using our out of the box moderation model. Showed you a couple of different ways to to extend that by way of workflows, allowing us to tie multiple models together, and then ultimately, like I said, combine multiple models, both your custom ones and our out-of-the-box ones, so that you can get a full moderation solution that matches your business requirements. Okay, I see a question out there. So is there a lot of localization possible nearly real time? Yeah, everything that you've seen me do here so far has been real time. It was literally copying and pasting to go into the text moderation. When you're going through the workflows, most of our calls happen in milliseconds. The only time that you'll not see that occur is the very first time that you use a model. And what that's doing is it's doing all of the machine learning operations that your IT folks would normally have to do, as far as spinning up different resources so that you can make those predictions. We're doing that behind the scenes for you on your behalf. If you have an active site, you don't have to worry about the model going to sleep. But in general, it will, like I said, so it will end up staying alive, and you'll only have that wake up time, very infrequently.
And so this is all about maximizing time to value. And this point Kirk's making about models going to sleep and waking up, this becomes really important for some customers, for example, that have trained like tens of thousands of models with us. So they don't actually need all of those resources active. They don't want to be paying for all those resources to be active. We handle all of that complexity behind the scenes, so you don't have to worry about it. And these pre-built models are all about maximizing time to value. We want to encourage everyone to dive in and try this out themselves today on Clarifai Community, so you can see that these models are live and ready for you to play with. And we would encourage you to get in there and try some of your own data out. And then with Kirk's other two examples, one with the cannabis and one with the alcohol, this is also about maximizing time to value. And the technical details can get a little bit involved, but this is about taking advantage of existing resources and tweaking them by either providing some data examples in the case of the alcohol, or by just combining two of the models that are already built, and one recognizes cannabis and the other recognizes moderation concepts. And with Clarifai, you don't need to create a new model, you just combine them in a workflow. There's a third tab up there where it says featured models and workflows. We offer this graphical workflow builder builder where you can just kind of move tiles around it and create moderation workflows and other kinds of workflows. So these resources are available to you 24/7. They are easy to integrate using our API. Here you're looking at our user interface where you can go in and play and don't have to write any code. But we also offer an API where with just a line of code, then you can add this functionality to your own apps and to your own tech stack. And so we're really excited about how successful this has been for so many different types of customers. We've been working with content moderation for years and years now, and it's one of the critical active roles that AI is playing in the world today, and we think that it will continue to be in the future. And with that, I did want to see if there are any other questions from the audience here.
Something else came up. The ability to deploy globally with regional differences is a huge benefit. So I kind of wanted to, while it's not, I kind of wanted to show what that looks like as far as the actual workflow builder. So all I had to do to add additional regions is just add an additional visual classifier, which is just a matter of dragging and dropping. So, if I need to add a third one, I can just go out here, grab that, tie it back to the original input, and then then I can add something that is additional here for yet another region. So I could then, technically I could turn around and tie the alcohol not okay here. So now I would have this would now if I update this, it's going to allow cannabis and not allow alcohol. And it's just that fast, just as far as being able to drag and drop. So as you have additional differences that you need to tie together, it's just like I said, it's just drag and drop. It's that easy.